you know, people can also be very good at hiding it. But if they're sad, if they're not talkative, if they're isolating themselves from you, from their friends and everything, that's also a good sign to look for.
You know, it was kind of amazing. I turned on my TV this morning and the news channel was on. And one of the first things on, and it's kind of weird the way things work in life.
Right.
It was about a suicide of this gentleman that had just been accepted on a basketball team, and he injured his ankle, and nobody knew he had been not kicked off, but could no longer be accepted on the team.
Right.
And it was a big semi-pro team. He committed suicide without letting anyone know that he had been disqualified, or however the term is. I mean, those little things that aren't really little in somebody's life, not making the cheerleading team.
It's also the person's perception of
Exactly.
that thing. I may think it's little, but he thinks that's his whole life is this basketball.
And then to turn to family and friends and say, I don't have it anymore, or I didn't make the cheerleading team, or I didn't get on the drama club,
Exactly.
Or I wasn't good enough for this, is our feelings, you know.
And it's
So
just
be
not,
aware.
yeah.
It's important to be aware as parents that after a major event like that, to watch the attitude of your child. You know, are they depressed since they didn't make the team?
Right. It's not only teenage suicide too. I mean,
anybody.
Suicide goes, you know,
Getting fired
all
from a job.
age range. Yeah,
You know?
financial loss, you know, all kinds of stuff. Elderly, greatest amount of suicide rate is in the elderly.
That's right.
50% more than the rest of the nation combined. So, I mean, it can happen at any age.
It's pretty sad when you think that this is the third highest rate of death in teenagers.
Right.
Is suicide, something that is totally preventable. Yeah.
And tell me again the ways that can be prevented, excluding like talking to someone. What if I'm the teenager and I'm not going to go and approach someone about it?
The most important thing there is for family and friends to recognize the signs.
What if
of
you
a
don't know what the
change.
signs are? What if you don't?
Well, one of the good things is the schools are all being trained today. I know when my daughter started changing, she was into self-abuse. I remember she got up on stage to take a bow.
That's huge these days,
and
too.
she had cut herself. The school, instead of coming to me, and I was in the dark. I really did not know how to handle this. She had cut herself and took her bow, and they shunned her. They just didn't put her in any more shows after that. They laughed. I saw them laughing.
Oh my God.
That is, I mean.
So the school
schools
needs to
are
get involved.
So important. And I know that there are wonderful programs now, a yellow ribbon program that is going into the schools and training the teachers and staff what to watch for.
Right.
And
I was just going to ask
intervention.
that if schools are getting more involved or if they're wanting to be on the outskirts
You know, our
of
children
it.
spend so much more of their time at schools, especially today, between extracurricular activities and such, and divorce rates and such, and parents not being home, like having a mother and father
Exactly.
home. So kids are on their own so much more today than they ever used to be. So every aspect, the village, it takes a village, and it really does.
It does. And teachers are very important too, because teachers sometimes see things that parents may not see.
Well, they're there on a daily basis, so they see the attitudes change, they see the grades drop, or they see an exceptional child start to fail. And
But I don't want to say it's just the teacher's
No,
responsibility
it's
or
everybody.
the school's
It is everybody.
responsibility. But that's good that the schools are giving classes or instructions on things to look for, because I know when I was in school, that was unheard of.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't even give like a little auditorium thing to acknowledge that it even existed at all. And I think that's half the battle, is to say, hey, this does exist. We need to recognize it, and we need to try and prevent it and to do what we can as people, you know, looking out for other.
There are some wonderful programs even on the internet right now, teens that have attempted suicide, that are there for others to reach out to.
Oh, really?
That they can talk to.
There's
through a chat
hotlines
line.
too, some kind of hotlines or
There's
something.
some wonderful hotlines. It'd take all day for us to list them all.
Right.
But I'm
Right.
sure if they get a hold of you, I'm
Yeah,
sure you have a
absolutely,
way.
they can-
Or if they do a Google search under just suicide or teen suicide. I did one, and it came up with so many wonderful sites that can help kids and adults alike.
So let's back up a little. Tell me exactly, besides seeing a therapist, what you did on a weekly basis to help yourself get over it, because how does that not just pull you down into a more depressed mode?
Well, I did several things. I went to bereavement groups. There's a wonderful group called SAS, Survivors After Suicide, which is for parents, family, adults, children. The whole group can go, and there's training, there's classes, and there's groups that will support one another in getting through this. That's one way. For me, to tell you the truth, I stayed in bed a lot. I didn't think I'd ever get past the pain of
Right.
losing her, or waiting for her to come through that door. It gets better. It just, and how you do it is,
Individual.
it's tough. The hardest part I found is nobody wanted to hear about it. Family, friends.
Why is that?
I think because of the stigma of suicide, maybe their own guilt. I know for some of my family members, it was the guilt of not accepting my daughter as she should have been accepted as a family and just who she was.
Right.
They wanted her to dress their way, talk their way, lose weight, do this, do that. And I think in the long run, they realized their part in where she ended up. So talking, I think just as the child coming to you, talking about their suicidal fears or their depression, you need to be quiet and just let them talk. I think a family that has gone through someone committing suicide, it's also very important for them to just listen and be the ears and the shoulder for them.
So what do you want everybody out there to know? What message do you want to send?
Get help immediately. Don't wait for your child to make the step, the final step, to take action on their suicidal issues. If you hear them talk at all about not wanting to be here, how all of a sudden they're really depressed, and then the next day they're up and upbeat.
Right.
That is one of the biggest signs that they've made their decision, that they are going to do something about their depression. So be very, very aware. Take the steps necessary. I don't care, like I said, if they scream, kick, claw, take them to a doctor and get them help. They can't do it on their own.
And I think that's really important, is that they can't do it on their own. People, because I remember I said to my counselor at school, it'll just go away.
Yeah.
I'll just, can we just ignore like this didn't happen? You don't have to call my parents, because I was scared I was going to get in trouble. So I was like,
exactly.
Don't call my parents. We'll just ignore it. I won't do it again. And she's like, no. And I was so mad. I was like, are you kidding me? Trust me. But it's one of those things that you don't want to get found out. You don't want to get in trouble from your parents. And that's the best thing that someone can do.
And the embarrassment. You think you're going to embarrass your parents.
Yeah.
Whatever. But
and some parents out there may be embarrassed. They may sweep it under the rug. They may do this little, we can't tell anybody about it, this is a secret, or whatever. And it's not. It's something that you need to get out there, and you need to talk about, and you need to acknowledge. And
if you have a child coming to you as a counselor, as a friend, as a parent, speaking anything about depression, about wanting to end it, take it seriously. Don't think it's a joke.
Thank you, Diana.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing
Thank
your
you.
story. Thanks for joining us today on Jessica. If you have any questions about what we talked about, you can email me in the email that will follow. And remember to look for the warning signs, be aware, and listen and get help. Thanks so much.